Chelsea have got off to the perfect start in the Club World Cup, beating LAFC 2-0 in a very, very comfortable performance. Enzo Fernandez is becoming one of my favourite players from a midfield perspective, and one of my favourite number eights. That late run he makes is like clockwork. In the box, the back end of the season, he's been fantastic for Chelsea. He really, really has. And when you've got players like Caicedo, Lavia partnered him today, played the first half. Palmer, Cucurella. Chelsea are close to taking that next step. Of course, LAFC aren't the best of teams. We know that. But you can only play what's in front of you. Porto drew last night to bloody Palmeiras. It's a weird competition, this Club World Cup. The attendance in these games is not the highest. The players are coming out individually. It feels a very Americanized tournament, but I think it's going to be fantastic towards the latter stages. I think right now a lot of people don't really like it. It's the competition level right now is not at its peak. We saw PSG just absolutely blow out Atletico Madrid the other night to smithereens. But when we get to say the last 16 quarterfinal stages, I think it will get a lot more of attention. But right now, Chelsea went out there. They had to do the job. They got another clean sheet. Fernandez scored another goal. Delap made his debut. There's lots to get into. Make sure you go down, drop a like on the video if you haven't already, and let me know your thoughts. We're under 500 subscribers away from 57,000. If you haven't already, I would really appreciate it if you could go down and smash the granny out of this subscribe button and let me know your thoughts on Chelsea 2, LAFC 0. And LAFC have some familiar players to a lot of fans. Hugo Lloris, Tottenham's old goalkeeper. We saw Olivier Giroud, an ex-Chelsea player, come off the bench. And that is pretty much the only two players that I knew from LAFC. In terms of Chelsea's team, they went very, very strong. Pretty much their strongest available lineup. It was good to see Lavia get some game time. Caicedo, for me, when Caicedo and Fernandez play, I feel very confident. It doesn't matter who Chelsea are up against. I feel very confident that they will beat the opposition. I'm prepared to say right now that Caicedo and Lavia is probably the best double pivot. I'm going to go out on a limb. I think Caicedo and Lavia is, if not the best, I think it is the best double pivot in the Premier League. And it's one of the best in Europe. I think the balance they give you, Caicedo's locking down that midfield. Enzo Fernandez late runs into the box, which we've seen so many times this season. That double pivot, when they play together, it's absolutely fantastic. We saw Enzo Fernandez drag Chelsea back into the game against Real Betis in the final. Caicedo also scored that game as well. They're both absolutely fantastic. They really, really are. In terms of the rest of the lineup, Neto played, of course, he scored. Jackson got an assist. Not Palmer's most, I would say, best game. He was still very good. Jackson, an assist. Reece James, Tosin Adarabioyo, Cole Cucurella. I like Cucurella as well. I think he's a fantastic player. But it's a very, when you look at the opposition you're up against, Chelsea should be going out there. I still do think they need a couple more players. I still think they need an out-and-out goal scorer. I still think they need a wire player who can, really contribute from an output perspective. But Chelsea should be very optimistic about next season. Very optimistic. I think they've got some fantastic players in there with Caicedo, Lavia, Jackson. I think will get a lot of goals. Delap, of course, made his debut. And Chelsea got off to a very good start around the 33rd, 34th minute. I think it might be 30th minute. Pedro Neto got on the score sheet. Ball played in from Jackson. That was really it in terms of huge impact in the first half. And they scored in the second half. Enzo Fernandez, ball goes into the box and makes that late dart run in And Chelsea, for me, when you got Fernandes, it almost reminds me of Lampard a little bit, the late run into the box. He finishes from about 3 or 4 yards out. And I'm looking at their next 2 Club World Cup fixtures, against Flamengo, which will be, I think Flamengo will be much more of a challenge. They're, of course, Brazilian, proper football inside. But I think overall, the competition at this moment in time, it's not a huge amount of high scoring games, other than the Bayern Munich game, which was just unbelievable, and the PSG game. Inter Miami drew 0-0. Porto drew 0-0. Botafogo beat Seattle Sounders 2-1. Chelsea won 2-0. Benfica obviously played Boca Juniors later. And then tomorrow morning, Flamengo play. But Chelsea are currently top of their group. The other, 3 teams they're going to play, you would expect Chelsea to be top of their group. They play Flamengo, obviously a Brazilian side. Esperance, I might have butchered that. Esperance, who are, I believe, are they Tunisian? I think they're Tunisian. I could be completely wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure they're Tunisian. Chelsea should make this 3 wins out of 3. They shouldn't even really concede a goal. Look at the other groups. Inter Milan should comfortably win that group. Dortmund should comfortably win that group. Man City will win that group, followed by Juventus. Real Madrid should comfortably win that group. The other groups, Bayern should comfortably win that. PSG should comfortably win that. And Porto should comfortably win that. When we get out of the groups and Chelsea are playing up against Porto, PSG, Atletico Madrid, Bayern, Inter, Dortmund, Juve, City, Real Madrid, is where it's going to get really, really interesting. Of course, they do play on Friday against Flamengo. And I think the way this Chelsea team set out, Lavia, of course, only playing 45 minutes, probably resting his legs going into, they obviously want to go deep into this competition, but he's the only real player in that Chelsea team who doesn't seem to be playing, the second. And they seem to either bring him on at halftime or take him off at halftime. Of course, when you've got a player like Enzo Fernandez on the bench, it really is difficult to keep him out of the team. For me, he was Chelsea's best player last season. Most consistent player throughout the duration of the campaign. He's only just turned 24 as well. 6 goals and 7 assists in the league. 8 GA in the Conference League. Scored in the Conference League final. 22 GA in 46 games is absolutely ridiculous from your number 8. And of course, Delap as well. Delap got the assist for Fernandez's goal. He come off the bench. They brought on Gusto, as you can see, Fernandez, Delap, Tyreek George, an academy player. Christopher Nkunku. Interesting, he was only given 5 minutes. Of course, his future probably lies elsewhere. And a lot of these players, Trevor Chalobah, of course, Sarge just signed. Josh, Jorgensen, Dewsbury Hall, Mark Guéhi. I'm pretty sure that is going to be the 11 they're going to play pretty much most of the games. You may see Fernandez and Caicedo and Palmer and Lavia be coming off the bench. But that's pretty much the 11 that Chelsea will probably be playing against when they play Flamengo on Friday. That is pretty much the same team you're going to see. But from Chelsea's perspective, it's the perfect start. Get through to the next round and then go from there. That is the most important thing. These 3 games, the competition level isn't huge. Let's just be brutally honest. They should be expected to go out there and win these games. Let's just be brutally honest on that, But if you're a Chelsea fan right now, you must be happy. Your team are actively pursuing deals. They're still linked with Hugo Ekitike. We saw earlier today Fabrizio Romano come out and say that they were, or it might not have even been Fabrizio Romano, it might have been L'Equipe saying that they are, it was Fabrizio Romano saying that they are looking at Malik Fofana. I think it was Ornstein actually. And they're still looking at Jamie Gittins. So it's going to be a very interesting time if you're a Chelsea fan. We'll be covering the Club World Cup from most of the games every step of the way. Drop a like, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you all soon.